Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine yourself, if you will, in a bustling military base visitor center.
Right.
The air around you is thick, almost vibrating with the youthful buzz of new recruits.
Yeah, you can almost feel the energy. Their uniforms are crisp. Their confidence is just high, palpable.
Exactly. It's that unmistakable youthful swagger. A really vibrant, kind of loud snapshot of the future, full of kinetic energy and promise.
And yet, right in the middle of all this,
Mm.
this forward momentum, this quiet figure just sits alone.
Mm-hmm.
She's an elderly woman, maybe getting close to 70.
Mm-hmm.
Her hands are clasped tightly in her lap.
And at first glance, she just blends right in, doesn't she? Seemingly unremarkable.
Totally. Just another face in a sea of these fresh, eager ones.
But then your eyes catch on something hanging from her shoulders almost like a whisper of the past.
The jacket.
Yeah, this worn, faded, olive green jacket, tattered, really out of place, unmistakably old. It just hangs there.
And that's where it starts, isn't it? The immediate, almost unconscious cruelty.
You hear it at first, it's like soft laughter, a rustle. Then it sharpens into snickers and these hushed whispers, like a low hiss of derision from these young recruits.
Yeah, and the remarks just low enough to avoid, direct confrontation.
But loud enough to cut through the air. Looks like she stole that from a thrift shop dumpster, one kid says.
Oof. And another one chimes in something like, that jacket wouldn't pass inspection in a soup line. It's just me.
It really is. But what's truly striking here, I think, isn't just the rudeness itself.
Yeah, it's the collective dismissal, the unspoken agreement, almost instant.
Yeah, that this woman with her silence and her old clothes, she was just invisible.
Right. This snap judgment that whatever story she might have, if she even had one, wasn't worth knowing, not worth a second thought.
It creates this incredibly powerful emotional tension right from the start, this quiet injustice just humming beneath the surface of that busy room, waiting.
Waiting to be acknowledged, absolutely.
Oh, exactly. And then the sudden shift, almost cinematic, like you said. A decorated general, a man whose presence usually commands instant, unwavering attention. He pauses. Mid-step, across the room.
And his eyes aren't, scanning the recruits or taking in the general hubbub.
No, his gaze is locked, absolutely fixed on the back of that old jacket.
You can almost feel his breath catch in that moment.
You really can. And in that split second, the entire room, the atmosphere, its whole essence, it just changes.
It's that moment of profound recognition, isn't it?
Yeah.
A pivotal turn from just casual disregard to this sudden, intense focus.
And that, for you, our listener, is our mission for this deep dive today. We're plunging into a story of an unsung hero, a quiet legend.
Whose valor was, for decades, hidden right there in plain sight.
We're going to explore how a single faded patch, overlooked by almost everyone, actually held the key to unlocking this monumental past.
And this isn't just a narrative, right? It's a powerful lesson about observation, the immense, often unacknowledged cost of sacrifice.
And the profound, really transformative power of finally being seen. Seen for who you truly are, not just what's on the surface.
It really underlines those themes beautifully.
It truly does. So let's begin by talking about this outwardly unremarkable presence, Elise Rowan, and how those seeds of scorn were planted, allowing her to be so easily dismissed.
Right. So as we mentioned, she was nearly 70. The material we've gathered paints this vivid picture of her daily life. Quiet, almost reclusive.
Tending a small garden, living modestly outside this base. Fort Breenery, we're calling it.
Yeah, stand in for countless real bases. But what really stands out, what's central to her character at this stage, is her silence. Her profound silence about the past.
Our sources really emphasize this. She never spoke of it.
Not to neighbors waving across the fence, not to the visiting nurse.
Not even the grocery clerk who helped with her bags.
To all of them, she was simply just an old woman alone. Forgettable.
That silence, it feels like more than just being private, doesn't it? It's almost like a chosen invisibility, a shield.
A carefully constructed shield around a hidden life. Exactly.
And yet, despite this quiet life, there was one thing. This unwavering ritual.
The Saturday bus.
Every single Saturday, without fail, Elise takes the 9:45 a.m. bus, always to the base.
And she never asked for anyone specific, never explained why she was there.
Never sought out a particular person or office, she just waited.
Imagine the consistency of that. Week after week, year after year. A silent vigil.
It must have seemed baffling, maybe even a bit eccentric to anyone who noticed.
What does that kind of unyielding routine tell you, though? It suggests something deep-seated. A purpose, a connection, even if it's totally hidden.
And the jacket, of course, was always with her. almost like an extension of her quiet resolve.
The source material describes it so meticulously. Olive drab canvas, you know.
Frayed seams, a missing button at the collar.
It was a garment designed to blend in, utilitarian, and it perfectly matched her perceived anonymity.
Yeah, the kind of thing you'd normally just dismiss as old, worn out, unremarkable, like the woman herself in their eyes.
It really reinforces that collective tendency we have to overlook the quiet, the unassuming.
But the jacket held a secret, that enigmatic patch on the sleeve.
Right. The sources say it was half-torn but still visible, circular, its emblem dulled with age, a silent testament to time and wear.
And the image, a falcon in mid-dive, clutching lightning in its talons.
Powerful imagery. And underneath those three cryptic letters, O-do-S-R, O-S-R.
And the source clearly states most people overlooked it.
Which is the critical point, isn't it? This powerful symbol, rich with implied meaning, was right there, plain sight.
Yet virtually nobody truly saw it, not for what it represented.
It's a perfect illustration of how easily we miss profound information if we're not looking with a discerning eye.
It absolutely is the quintessential example of something hidden in plain sight.
The symbol was there, it was physical, but the context, the history, the meaning behind OSR was just completely missing for the casual observer.
And because that vital context was absent, well, the recruit's dismissal, it wasn't just rude.
It was almost predictable, a natural consequence of their limited perception. They saw only the surface, the worn exterior.
Completely missed the profound history it represented, that failure of observation, relying on the easy stuff instead of digging deeper.
That common cognitive bias, yeah. It sets the stage perfectly for the dramatic revelation.
Which brings us to that moment of recognition, the absolute pivot point, the general's unwavering gaze.
The source sets it up so starkly, then boots stopped.
Imagine that sound, cutting through the noise of the waiting room, the sudden halt of heavy military boots.
And this isn't just any officer. He's described as tall and silver-haired with a chest full of medals.
And a stare that could freeze a storm. He steps into this ring of snide smiles and idle glances.
And his presence alone immediately commands attention. This is a man whose whole career is built on seeing what others don't, understanding subtle cues.
And his focus isn't on the fresh faces, the recruits, or the general bustle.
No. His gaze, we're told, stayed locked on the jacket.
This is it. The critical moment of profound observation. One person's trained eye, their accumulated knowledge, lets them see what everyone else missed.
He's not seeing just old clothes. He's seeing a symbol, a uniform, a piece of living history.
His mind, trained for patterns, for obscure details, immediately connected that faded patch to something. Something huge. Something believed lost.
You can almost feel his voice cutting the air. Sharp, resonant. He asks, "Where did you get that?"
And Denton, the recruit, still steeped in that dismissive arrogance, he just blinks, utterly confused.
"What, sir?" he stammers. Clearly wasn't expecting the general's intensity.
And then the general repeats the question, but the tone, completely different, sends shivers down your spine. That patch.
The source says his voice wasn't anger, it was almost reverence.
Think about that. A decorated general, battlefield experience, speaks with reverence about a faded patch on an old woman's jacket.
The whole room naturally just falls silent. The air practically crackles. You can feel the weight.
It's a sound of history making itself known, right there.
That profound shift in tone is the immediate signal. Everyone present knows something deeply significant, way beyond their casual understanding, is happening.
And it's this shift that seems to draw Elise Rowan out of her quiet shadow, like she's being reeled back into the present.
The source says Elise raised her head slowly as if drawn out of shadow. Her eyes, clouded but unyielding, meet the general's.
And in that moment, it's like this silent, powerful acknowledgement between them. Despite their different circumstances now, they share a secret language, an unspoken understanding.
A shared, arduous history.
And then the general's whispered question. Almost too soft for anyone else to really catch, but loaded with immense meaning. You were OSR.
Yeah, that's the moment. The full weight of his understanding, his recognition of the patch's true significance, becomes crystal clear.
It's not just random letters, it's a designation, a unit, an entire, almost mythical history. OSR.
And Elise's response, so simple, yet carries the weight of decades. She nodded once, just once.
Just once. It's everything and nothing. A testament to a singular, probably earth-shattering mission that defined her.
The general's reaction to this quiet confirmation is almost as impactful as his initial recognition. He's described as a legend on base, right?
A man who had barked orders through gunfire and flown into war zones.
And yet, hearing her confirm it, he took a step back.
Not out of fear, obviously, but out of immense respect, profound shock, realizing the truly immense presence he's standing before.
It underscores the almost unbelievable nature of the truth he's uncovering. So profound, it makes a seasoned warrior step back in awe.
It really speaks to the power of meeting living history face to face.
And then his action. Swift, decisive. He doesn't address her. He focuses on the recruits.
Barks the order, loud and clear, everyone out.
The source notes his voice left no room for debate.
The recruits, shocked into obedience, they just scatter. The room empties in seconds.
Leaving Elise still seated, completely unmoved by the whirlwind she's inadvertently caused.
And Denton, the one who mocked her, he's left stammering, clearly beginning to grasp the magnitude of his error, the casual cruelty he dished out.
And the general's approach to Elise then. It's described with such reverence. Like a sacred act, he walks slowly like a man walking toward a ghost.
That imagery is so powerful. It reinforces the awe, the disbelief. He's not just seeing an old woman.
No, he's encountering a spectral figure from a forgotten past, someone believed lost to history, a phantom from the deepest files.
It sets the stage perfectly for unpacking the ghost and the files, Operation Silent Raptor, and the harrowing story it contains.
Absolutely. The general sits down beside her, not as a superior officer.
No, the sources say like a soldier before a monument.
And he reveals what he knows, or rather, what he thought he knew about her unit. They told us you didn't make it out, he says, his voice low now, reflective.
That the whole OSR unit was lost in '79.
That gives us the crucial context for OSR, Operation Silent Raptor, a unit considered a complete loss, a tragic chapter sealed shut.
And then Elise speaks. For the first time in front of anyone there, decades of silence finally broken.
Her voice is described as soft like smoke from a dying fire, almost ethereal.
And her correction. It's chilling, profoundly impactful. We weren't lost, we were buried.
Wow, that single sentence. It conveys an unimaginable depth of sacrifice, of being intentionally forgotten, erased from the records from memory.
It really chills you, hints at the immense burden of a secret life, an unacknowledged past. What does it mean for an institution to bury its heroes?
It implies a deliberate act, doesn't it? A conscious decision to make inconvenient truths just disappear.
The general, almost talking to himself, starts piecing it together. Operation Silent Raptor.
And then he adds the key details. Covert intel, deep infiltration.
Instantly paints a picture. Top secret, incredibly dangerous work. This wasn't frontline combat.
No, far more clandestine, solitary. Operations in the shadows where success meant staying unseen, unheard.
It speaks to a very specific kind of heroism.
Yeah.
One that deliberately avoids the spotlight.
And then he asks something that really highlights her unique status, especially back then. You were the only woman in the unit, weren't you?
Elise quietly confirms, and then she taps the faded patch on her sleeve.
I made them promise to keep it that way.
That adds another layer, doesn't it? To her sacrifice, her foresight.
Absolutely. It hints at the immense, often unacknowledged challenges she must have faced. Beyond the mission's danger, there was likely bias, skepticism.
The pressure to prove herself in a field totally dominated by men.
Her insistence on being the only woman, maybe to protect others,
Yeah.
or maybe to maintain that absolute secrecy vital to OSR.
It speaks volumes about her resolve, her strategic thinking, even facing immense personal costs.
And then the details. The harrowing details of her mission finally spoken after decades of silence. Imagine hearing this directly from her.
She'd been inserted into enemy territory without backup.
Just that alone. The extreme isolation, the danger. Not part of a team, no squad covering her back. Alone.
Relying solely on her wits, her training. It's not just physical danger, it's the psychological pressure. Complete self-reliance in hostile territory.
And the impact of her solitary work was huge. She delivered classified coordinates that ended a brutal siege.
Think about that. Her actions, alone and clandestine, directly saved countless lives, profoundly impacted a major conflict.
This wasn't just passive intel gathering. It was intelligence with immediate life-or-death consequences. Direct action from the shadows.
A singular point of leverage shifting a battle's course, all thanks to one individual operating outside the spotlight. Quiet architects of victory.
But the cost, truly unimaginable. She was captured, presumed dead.
And traded after 14 months in a camp. 14 months.
Try to really wrap your head around that length of time. Under horrific conditions, an eternity of unimaginable ordeal, physical, psychological torment.
And after surviving all that, the unthinkable, her name was wiped from record for national security.
She became a ghost, not just to the enemy, but to her own country.
Her profound service, her incredible resilience, resulted in complete erasure from public record, from history itself.
Transformed into a non-person for the sake of abstract national security, a sacrifice almost greater than the captivity.
So the jacket, it wasn't just old clothes, it was all that remained.
Her only tangible proof, a physical link to a past that was systematically denied, deemed too sensitive, too dangerous to acknowledge.
It carried the entire weight of her unacknowledged valor, a silent testament. For decades, the only piece of her true identity the world could see, even if they didn't understand.
The general listens, and the source says tears were pooling silently in eyes hardened by war.
That image is just gut-wrenching. A hardened soldier, seeing the worst of humanity, face death and devastation, moved to his core by her quiet heroism.
It speaks volumes about the weight of history, the burden of institutional memory, the realization that heroes like her can just be lost to bureaucratic expediency.
He asks the question we're all thinking, the one aching in the silence. Why didn't you come forward?
And Elise's answer, maybe the most poignant and honestly the most heartbreaking part. I did, she says, voice still soft.
No one listened. Eventually, I stopped trying.
That simple sentence. It resonates with that universal feeling of being unheard. Carrying an immense burden alone for decades, trying to speak your truth into a void.
The crushing weight of dismissal. The exhaustion of trying when the world has decided to look away, not believe.
It's a stark reminder. How many untold stories, how many profound acts of heroism might exist just because no one was willing to truly listen, to see beyond the surface.
And then the general's tribute, that moment of deep personal reckoning. He stands, snaps to attention, salutes her.
But not just out of duty, the sources emphasize. Out of debt.
He recognizes the immeasurable debt. His country, his military, owes this woman a debt that can never truly be repaid, only acknowledged.
His voice, strong and clear now, delivers the ultimate validation. Pulls her back from the abyss of forgotten history. You were a ghost in our files.
But you're a giant in our history.
That statement is such a powerful reframing, shifting her from a forgotten statistic to a monumental figure, finally recognizing the valor that transcended record-keeping.
And that recognition, that profound acknowledgement of her true place as a giant, it sets the stage for the reckoning, the lasting legacy of Elise Rowan.
It's not just about her anymore, is it? It's about the institution and maybe society at large, confronting its own blind spots, its oversights.
Indeed, the very next Saturday, Elise returns to the base, maintains her unwavering ritual.
But this time, everything is profoundly different.
No laughter, no smirks, the entire atmosphere transformed, a tangible shift.
The general's actions, the revelation of her story, clearly rippled through the whole base, impacted everyone, top ranks to newest recruits.
Instead of scorn, what's waiting for her at the door is this solemn line of recruits, standing in full crisp uniform.
No more casual dismissal. This is formal, respectful, deeply humbled acknowledgement.
And right at the center of that line, Denton, the wiry kid who mocked her jacket just a week ago.
Now he stands tall, holding a pristine bouquet of flowers and, significantly, a perfectly folded American flag.
The source emphasizes his trembling hands, a powerful detail, signifying true remorse, profound respect that's replaced his earlier arrogance.
His apology is simple, direct, raw, stripped of pretense. We didn't know, he says, his voice thick. We're sorry.
It's a powerful moment of humility, understanding, not just for Denton, but for all the recruits who dismissed her, a testament to the power of truth.
And the transformative impact of one person's courage to bring that truth to light.
And the public recognition that follows. That's the final, tangible validation of her decades of silent sacrifice.
Behind the line of recruits, a framed photograph of her younger self has been mounted on the wall.
Visible, permanent acknowledgement after decades of silence. Official erasure. Her image, once wiped from records, now prominently displayed, a beacon.
It's a powerful statement about reclaiming history, one forgotten life at a time.
And the plaque beneath it, the words are so powerful, so carefully chosen. Elise Rowan, Operation Silent Raptor.
Service without recognition, valor beyond record. Let's just pause on those phrases.
Service without recognition directly addresses the decades as a ghost in the files. The invisible soldier, the paradox of covert ops where success means anonymity.
And valor beyond record. That speaks to a heroism that transcended official documents. a bravery too profound, too immense to be contained by paper or accolades.
It's just a courage that exists independently of official validation.
And Elise's reaction to all this. The sources describe her smile. It was quiet, but it was real.
Not flamboyant triumph, not loud vindication, just a profound moment of quiet peace. Validation.
After so long, carrying that immense burden alone, she's finally seen, acknowledged for the sacrifices she made.
It's that quiet contentment that speaks volumes. The quiet satisfaction of a lifetime of selfless service finally being honored.
A potent reminder that true validation often comes not in grand gestures, but in genuine, heartfelt recognition.
The source material ends with this incredibly powerful message, really, about the nature of heroism itself.
It reminds us that some heroes wore medals, others were silence.
Some carried their stories in books, others in stitches and scars.
Elise carried hers on a faded patch that the world forgot until one man remembered.
That's not just a closing thought. It's a crucial insight into the diverse forms of bravery. The vital importance of remembering those whose sacrifices aren't publicly celebrated.
Whose valor is hidden in the quiet corners of history. It challenges our conventional notions of what a hero looks like, where their stories are found.
True valor isn't always etched in stone or celebrated in parades. Sometimes it's carried quietly, waiting for someone with the wisdom, the discernment, to truly see it.
So what does this all mean for us, the listener? This deep dive started with something simple, seemingly insignificant, a worn jacket, a whispered patch.
And it unfolded into unveiling a lifetime of incredible, unacknowledged heroism. It serves as a stark reminder, doesn't it? How much can be hidden in plain sight.
And how quickly, how easily, we can misjudge people based on superficial appearances. Or the absence of official recognition. It's a powerful call to look deeper. Question our first impressions.
This story prompts each of us, I think, to consider the unsung heroes in our own lives. The people whose quiet courage, whose profound contributions might go unnoticed because they don't seek the limelight.
Or because they don't carry obvious markers of their past. It's about the fundamental value of looking beyond the immediate surface, cultivating a discerning eye.
Recognizing the true giants who walk among us, often in the quietest, most unassuming ways.
It challenges us to reconsider what true strength and contribution actually look like.
And then that leads us to our final provocative thought for you, the listener. Who are the silent giants in your world, in your community, maybe even in your own family history?
What faded patches or quiet routines might be concealing a story of immense valor, profound sacrifice, or just incredible quiet persistence that has shaped lives, maybe even your own?
How can you be the one to see, to truly listen, and to remember them, ensuring their story isn't lost to the whispers of time, but instead brought into the light where it belongs?